Nima entered the smoky cantina, eyes drawn instantly to the striking blue-skinned dancer, commanding the stage. Patrons hooped as the shapely Jisun woman twirled lithely through her routine, diaphanous veils swirling about her alluring figure. As the music peaked, the dancer playfully discarded her top layer of outfits to riotous cheers before finishing her set with a graceful split kick. Nima watched the dancer make rounds, greeting her enthusiastic yet respectful admirers afterwards. Who was this bold woman, delighting miners on some barren outpost world? As the main room emptied for supper, Nima approached discreetly, offering to refill cups at the carved stone bar. Time to learn more at this promising establishment. Brilliant routine, I've never seen better. Nima offered sincerely to the dancer, wiping her dark brow. Are you the only Jisun here providing such delights after hours? The woman eyed Nima amused. Just Jeannie, and thank you. This joint keeps me quite busy most orbit cycles. I take it you recently arrived in port. Up close faint scars marked Jeannie's shoulder and neck. Care to chat woman to woman a moment if curious why I run things now, since the unpleasantness? Only if it could lead to possible employment, said Nima as she slid onto a booth's cushion, eager for any tips. Nima listened incredulous as the exotic dancer described ghastly conditions for import females under previous reptilian known ownership here on Glycan 5. Fierce overseers housed pleasure slaves, like cattle, for their leisure rutting without care, fueling increasing barbarity. Any defiance risked the blood pit brawls, stim implants, even personality erasure therapy. Yeenie spat in disgust. She gestured to the grizzled Marine veteran, drinking silently across the tavern. Sergeant Ford's unit helped spur our wretched uprisings early on, yet battle raged for months throughout the tunnels against the slavers and collaborators. Yeenie's gaze grew distant, remembering starvation and makeshift barricades with the wounded. Her cell block sisters felled by arena animals or crackdowns. She traced the thin scars etching one shoulder and neck with a trembling finger. The humans sacrificed thousands for our liberation when easier paths were more welcomed. What is industry versus hope's ember kept burning? Yeenie turned to Nima fiercely. Now none here dare rekindle misery's ashes under Alliance watch. She thumped the bar with conviction. I entertain proudly by choice, running a clean business thanks to the opportunities Earth credits provide and desire for community. The radiant smile returned, breaking somber mood. After Yeenie finished her dance routine, Nima sought her out once more. Please tell me what happened here to make you want to stay? Yeenie guided Nima to a table in the far end of the cantina and ordered 2 glasses of human wine. I will never forget that day, Yeenie said as she sipped her wine. I expected the usual, to pleasure another of the known masters or worse one of the giant Morel mercenary guards that day. But all of them were in a panic. Then the explosion started. Yeenie looked at the stage for the next dancer, who was about to start a new routine. We were all terrified. We thought the Prozenith Empire had finally returned to claim Glycan 5. For us, if we survived the attack, it would have been not much more than a change of masters. Yeenie looked over to a couple of human Marines who were cheering the new dance. She smiled for a few moments before continuing. Then for the first time in my life I laid eyes on a human, several of them. They were battling the Morels like a fierce pack of Trevelyan canines. If you have never seen a Morel, they are muscular giants, with reddish skin, for arms, and are feared by most species throughout this sector. Never could I have imagined these humans attacking a race that was twice their size, and beating them back. It seemed the Morels were confused, as they had never been challenged to the death in warfare of that scale. The battle was long and bloody, with both Morel and human corpses filling the streets. The Morels fought to their last warrior, earning their reputation as elite mercenaries. But in the end the humans would not back down until victory was won. The humans saved us. Nima asked in a soft voice, was it as you feared? Did you have a change of masters at first? Yeenie laughed lightly as she answered, not at all. Once the battle was over, their soldiers came, asked us questions, not so much an interrogation but as intelligence gathering. Soon after we were seen by their medics, and then we were free to go. Not that I had anywhere to go after being a pleasure slave for years. When the Klops rebuilt this community into an active mining post for the Human Alliance, I decided to stay and offer a form of respite. We all did. Their conversation was interrupted by an attractive green-skinned Bonnian female walking towards them, followed by whistles and hoots from the Human and Klop patrons. Nima had heard how Bonnian females were sought after by most races, because of their natural ability to produce pheromones that would provoke mating reactions from males of several different species. Sit and join us, Sinsa, we have stories to share. This is Nima. She is looking for employment here, but doesn't quite understand why we stayed here. Yini said as she pointed to an empty chair. Always a pleasure to see a new female face around here, but one quick-tongued Jisun female is more than enough. I don't know if our patrons could handle 2 of you. Sinsa replied as she took her seat. How did you end up here? Bonnian ships don't fly through this sector. Nima asked curiously. I arrived here like all of us did. I was taken by the known slavers. In my own unique story, but captured nonetheless. It was several solar cycles ago. I was still an adolescent when our transport ship's FTL engine failed while we were traversing neutral space several jump points from here. Sinsa explained as she poured herself a glass of wine. Sinsa, she continued her story as she took a sip from her cup. We were a Bonnian civilian transport with no weapons. The captain sent out a distress call in hopes an official transport or military ship would come to our aid. At first, we thought the ship that replied was possibly a Prosanuthian vessel or even a Bonnian one. Before we were able to identify who they were, the Noans scrambled our communication calls and boarded our ship, killing all the males, including my father. Sinsa went silent for a few moments, putting down her glass and turning towards Nima. They gutted the ship and took all the female Bonnians as slaves to sell. Soon after I was purchased by a known pirate captain named Jandro, who made me his personal pleasure slave. Being his property for several cycles meant when he relocated his base of operations here on Gleeken 5, I had to come with him. Sinsa took a deep breath as she slowly concluded the rest of her story. When the humans came and attacked, I thought I was going to be killed. Jandro had 2 personal morale bodyguards stationed at the front of his home when a squad of human marines set upon them. I hid in the back room, listening to the gunfire and screams of that battle. Then the door opened and I awaited my execution. But instead the marine extended his hand and lifted me to my feet. He walked me past Jandro's lifeless body, which laid behind the 2 dead morels. They took me away to be examined by their medics. At first I thought I was just going to be sold again. But then I was freed. Tears flowed as I never thought I would ever be free again. And then I continued to cry, not because I was free, but because I did not know what to do with my freedom. I decided to stay here amongst the humans as they were the ones who saved me. Nima was beginning to understand why these beautiful creatures decided to stay amongst these hairless primates when a thought caught her attention. Well, more like a question than a thought. What are drinking next? Popped in Nima's head. She turned around and saw a female bipedal feline standing at about a half a meter tall wearing a dancer's attire. What, caught your tongue? You don't know what else you want, came into Nima's mind. I will just have another glass of this human wine, thank you. Nima finally answered aloud. Yini smiled as she asked, have you never met an Ixiart before? They communicate via their psychic abilities. That one is Mundwai, her story is similar to ours. Taken as a kitten by the Noans as a pet, then when she grew up they found other uses for her. I suppose if the desire is base enough, just about anyone can be turned into a flesh service. But Mundwai does not share her story that much. Just that she has no desire to go back to her people. Although it's not unheard of the practice that some Ixiart clans to sell off any of their kittens who they would have been culled otherwise, but that just speculation. Sinsa then offered Nima a job as a server if she wished to stay, or she could continue her journey elsewhere. Nima accepted the offer. I think I will also stay. This seems too unique of a circumstance to walk away from just yet. Who knows if one day I may need a human to save me.